Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. I got a 2005 Buick Lacrosse here. Needs a front wheel bearing. I thought I'd bring you guys along. These aren't too bad to do usually. So the bearing's loose on it. They're not noisy. Actually, this one's loose and the right rear is pretty loose. Give her a little toot there. Let it soak for about 2 seconds. Yeah, we got that loose. Caliper popped off. Let's see, one of my inspections just showed up, so I'm going to have to walk away for just a minute. Couple bolts in the back of the whole caliper bracket. Alright, inspection is done. Back at it. Well, I guess we need to use our pry driver. That's a pry bar / screwdriver. Push their piston in there a little bit. Hanger out. Missing a caliper hook in case you guys see one floating around anywheres. Josh thinks I sent it for a ride, but I think he sent it for a ride. At least that's him I'm blaming on. Spray down our bearing for what it's worth. Straighten her out here a little bit. Get it unplugged. We're going to get our plug off the bracket. That's good. Now, we've got to get the bolts out. They should be 13, they are. Let me go get some tools. I'll show you an old trick my grandmother taught me. Put the nut on there. Because sometimes it's a pain to get to this one upper bolt on the back of these GM because the axle shaft's in the way. Let's take an old pair of vice grips. That doesn't have to be an old pair, it can be a new pair. After you push the axle in, put the nut on there. That'll keep it from the vice grips from slipping off. Just push it in, pinch it over, boom, life hack. And that'll keep that right out of your way. Get the back side here. Put these bolts up. Sometimes these suckers will come out hard all the way to the end. We got a little Loctite on them. Plus in New York they get a little bit of rust. Box them in nice. Got to switch arms because you don't want one getting too big. And you got to kind of be mindful of your CV boot while you're in here too. Particularly if you're using a deep socket because it'll come out and have a tendency to hit the clamp. And then the clamp can fall off. I'm pushing too hard. Oh, they turn a whole lot easier when you got the wheel on. Mother lover. Need some leverage. Always use a screwdriver when you need leverage. There we go. Whew. Tight. Freaking grease on my hand. Come on, little fella. Lock our CV shaft back in out of our way. If you have a side hammer kit too that has the hub adapter on it with the forcing screw, you can just stick that on here, spin a couple lug nuts on it, and then tighten the forcing screw up. But which I have one of those, I just being lazy wanted to show you the life hack anyways. Basically free tip Friday on a Tuesday. You always wonder, is it the bolt or is it my ratchet? And we drop it again. All right. You know what time it is. It's time for Big Nasty to come do her thing. Oh, to her or him. Got tough. You wouldn't want a girl this strong, so it's kind of, I think it's a guy. Time to do his thing. So at this point, if you're DIYing it and you're in the Rust Belt, you just gotta whale the piss out of this thing. There's really no nice way to put it. They don't come off easy. So if you are choosing to use a big hammer and you're swinging and you're hitting the face of the hub, or the back of the face of the hub, the back of its face, don't hit the spindle. If you miss, you're going full gorilla and you hit the spindle, these are aluminum, you'll probably smash it all in, and then you're off to the salvage yard to get a used one. You can use a big jabroni chisel, and which is what I'm going to do, and I hit right on the actual bearing itself, try to get it to rotate a little bit. Of course, Big Nancy's, you don't play. We're going to probably catch the edge of it and try to drive it out, which I'm usually pretty successful doing. So let me get a hose at, where's my hose at? There it is. Go get some ear muffs. That's how it's done. So we'll take our little bracket off. So if you are bashing a chisel down in there and you beat up the little tin spacer here, you gotta have it because that's what holds our ABS wire. Just stick on something flat and beat it back straight. However, you can see our ABS sensor is still stuck in there, which is kind of common. It falls apart off from the back side of the hub. So just get a prying device, we'll stick in there and just give her a little tug. Oh, you can smell the corrosion. And there it is. So there's your ABS sensor. Like I say, they have a tendency to freeze up and stick in there. Just pry them out. Sometimes they come out. And now we just gotta move you up out of my business. And then we got to clean this up, so we got to clean a little corrosion off inside the knuckle, clean the face of it off. That light is crazy bright. Mind you, this is aluminum, so don't Don't get all silly. We're just gonna use a little Cookie Wheeler Astro 204, sweet little die grinder. Just gingerly clean this. Got her. So next we got to clean out the inside. I use a little rotary file and this big honky tonk. So this is the what do they call it? The 216 QL. She's 3/4 HPs, and I think it's probably slightly underrated because this thing is the boss when it comes to decking. It's almost kind of scary what I do with a wrench for it. As a wrench goes with it. I assume it's probably more like a horse and a half. She got a lot of snot, just put it that way. So you do have to be careful. What's cool about it, and I've used this for a while, as you can tell, because I don't like to show any tools that I don't use or that are just junk. But this thing's pretty cool. So it has, to lock the arbor on it, it has its own built-in locking feature. So you only need one wrench. Pop that up, it locks it. We'll grab a die grinder, which oddly enough, this is are also Astro. So these are the 2181. So I've used, these are the three I use mainly. And surprisingly, as cheap as these are, or I should say as inexpensive as they are, they hold up surprisingly well, to the point I haven't even chipped any of them yet, which I can't believe, because I've got a nice set of Mac ones that I've used, and quite often you have to warranty them because they chip. And these, I've yet to chip them, and I'm kind of surprised. And I've had them for quite a while now. Well, I've had them as long as I've had this tool. So, yeah, there's a little testimony. It's Testimony Tuesday. You gotta be careful with this tool, folks. There's a baby in that trigger. Easy. You want to leave the aluminum but get rid of the crud. That's the main objective. So what I think would work good in here is one of those sanding flat wheels. Once you get the big chunks off, just go around, give her a nice shine. So I'll give her a little toot of some fluid film here. Or you can use, you know, spray grease like muscle grease or something. Just something to keep it from getting all corroded. Now if your tin shield or your tin spacer, if it's all snotty too, you have to clean that up. Ours is pretty clean, so I'm not too worried about it. And we'll get the bolts. I'm going to stick one in here to hold it momentarily. And then you've got to fish the wire for the yes through. Get our axle shaft started. Get our tin shield lined up. Get our bolt lined up. Now we're going to take that bolt back out and put a little Loctite on it. That's just going to kind of hold it for us. There. So we got that. Have to put a little bit of Loctite on there. Slip her through. What's up, Mrs. O?
What are you working on?
What's it look like I'm working on, lady?
Oh, I don't know.
You know. Don't be all silly with us.
I thought this thing had a major oil leak. Why are you doing oil drain?
Because he wants it past inspection.
He's gonna fix the oil leak?
So, it's not part of state inspection, lady. Gas caps are. Seatbelt reminder lights.
You don't need oil to...
No, car doesn't even need to run. This is New York, baby. I gotta get our bolt back out. So what's up?
I'm going to the post office.
You wear flip-flops? What about OSHA?
OSHA, you gotta have so many employees to be in.
Oh. Alright. So now we're just gonna put the bolts in it, obviously. Tug them up. We're gonna snug them up, torque them to factory specs. Whoa. And then we'll be back to where we started. Freaking grease all over. So once you got them babies tightened up, just clip your ABS wire back in there. Obviously plug it back in. Gonna give the base of the hub here a little toot. Some fluid film. You want to make sure the inside of your rotor, where it sits on the face of the hub, is nice and clean and shiny. And this one is, because fortunately whoever did it last put a bunch of never sneeze on it. So that's good. And I like to just spin one of the nuts on backwards. That kind of holds it for you. And then find the nuts for the caliper bracket, or the bolts rather. Wish I knew where my other hook was. I think anybody who's a mechanic knows where it is. Yep. Thinking, Josh. I'll go over and steal one of his hooks now. This your first day on the job, pal? There we go. Put our axle nut on. Where were we? Caliper bracket. Make sure you snug that up. Factory specs, of course. Tighten our axle nut to factory specs, of course. I hate publicizing what the factory spec is because your car might be different. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to get a manual. If you're working on a car, you should have a manual anyways, just so you know. And then you can have stuff like, you know, torque specs and whatnot. Be on the safe side. Let's go put our, man, it's like our 15th thing I dropped today. We'll put our wheel back on. Because you can't drive the car without it. It's not very far. And somebody asked me, or I've been asked multiple times, about torque sticks, and whether or not I use them. And the answer to that question is yes, I do. And I've used them for about the past, oh, probably 18 or 19 years. I've used torque sticks. Fit this one long enough to the point I wore all the paint off it. This is the most popular, so it's going to be our 19 millimeter, limiting it at around 100 foot-pounds. Are they, you know, super precise? Nope. I would have to say that because technically the gun is supposed to be calibrated, you know, if you follow the manufacturer's specs. But one thing I do know is if your air pressure is regulated, you know, so you're always getting the same torque to your gun. The wheel is going to be torqued on evenly, and that's more important, I would assume, than, you know, at the exact foot pound, because if you got this one at like 200 and this one's at 50 and this one's at, you know, 380, you're gonna have uneven pressure on that rotor, and you're gonna warp the rotor, or you're gonna have, you know, harsh brake pedal pulsation when you're done. So I would say, you know, and this is just strictly my opinion, you know, when you're tightening the wheel up, it's more important that it's torqued evenly than it is to, you know, exactly 100 foot-pounds, in my opinion. And I've seen people use torque sticks too, where they come on and they just get right on that one wheel nut and just pow, you know, they just give it the beans, let the impact take it down, you know, the full spank the first time. And that's not good either, because it just hits that rim at like, you know, Mach 90 and, you know, jams right in there. So I just run them down until they all touch, and then we go through and torque them down. And that's that. Free Opinion Tuesday. I don't take it as gospel, because that's just strictly my opinion. Nice. So that's it. So now that you have completed step 1, remove, replace the bearing assembly, you need to do step 2, which is pump up the brakes before you take it for a ride. Otherwise, this thing's going to send you on a little fun ride. You get a little butt pucker in the seat as you're pumping the brakes. You can just about make it to the sidewalk if you forget, so that could be a bad day. So don't forget to do that. And I guess that's it. Take it for a ride. Make sure the ABS light is not on, which it shouldn't be, because it wasn't when we pulled it in. I guess that's it. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you're changing the front hub assembly on your General Motors product, they're all about the same. You've done one, you've done them all. And I guess that's it. I gotta move on and do the rear wheel bearing now. Maybe I'll record that. Maybe that'll be like part 2 to this. I don't know. Anyhow, in the meantime, Google Plus and Facebook, and click the subscribe button if you haven't. And if you haven't, I don't know why, but I ask that you would. That way you can get notifications each and every day that we roll out a video. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.